Good evening, everybody. It's so nice to see everybody here. Particularly nice, certainly for me, to see Ajahn Barry back with us this evening to lead the class. Before we do that, I'd like to just mention something that happened at last week's class. Of course, if you weren't at last week's class, this won't mean anything to you, but there was a good question and some discussion and helpful hints about trauma and stress. And because I don't know an awful lot about that, and of course, obviously, the question was, can mindfulness meditation help? And so what I did was I went away and I asked somebody who is a long-time Buddhist and a meditator and a counselor for his perspective on this. And he got back to me with a very comprehensive email. And I'm only too happy to share this with the person who asked the question, or indeed anybody else. And if you'd like for me to do that, please contact me via the Buddhist Society. And you'll see there in the chat box right now, the BudSocs address, info@thebuddhistsociety.org. And if you send that through and say attention to Colin Ash, or they'll get it through to me, and then I can reply. So we'll leave that there tonight, and let's say, do please use it if you think it would be helpful. Well, that's enough from me. I'd like to hand over the class now to Ajahn Barry, and gosh, most of you know him, but if you don't, you soon will. A lot of experience, a long-time member, a member of the class, a leader of this class, a returner to this class, and in between, all sorts of exciting monastic things as well. So it's great to have you back, Ajahn Barry. Should I say, talking about questions and all that, the usual format that we tend to follow is everybody's on mute to begin with, and then at the end of the class, everybody can be unmuted, and we can have questions and discussion and so on. But in the meantime, if anybody would like to ask any questions at all, or make any comments as we go along, then please put them in the chat box. And I shall be looking at the chat box, and I can relay them on to Ajahn Barry. And I think Wongdu, who's kindly running the IT tonight, he'll keep an eye on things as well and make sure I see any chats that are coming through. So that's enough chat from me. Good to see you, Ajahn Barry. Please lead the class this evening.
Thank you, Colin, and welcome everybody. It's nice to see so many people. Looks like 32 at the moment. That's very nice. Very good to see so many people interested in meditation. I like the fact that this is called the basic meditation class, because I'm really not sure there is anything but basic meditation, no matter how advanced we think we are. And if we think we are advanced, I would return to basic meditation. I'll just do a small chant, paying homage to the Buddha Dhamma Sangha as refuge. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddham dhanam sangham namasami. Right, I certainly recognize a few faces, which is very nice to see. I haven't put them off yet. I'm working on it by saying the same thing every time. I'm trying to bore you all to death, but it doesn't seem to be working so well. I'll try again this evening by saying basically the same thing. And the same thing is centered around, if, where I live, if I want to tell you how to get to the main road from here, I will tell you directly to go out of this door, turn right, turn left, go down the hill, turn left, and you'll come to the main road. But often what happens is the instructions that we're given are so complicated. The lists we need to fulfill are so complicated. So we get lost in the complications. And because of our habit, our conditioning, which is very, very strong, we tend to attach to these lists, to these instructions, instead of just walking on the path, looking at the Buddha's basic teachings, anicca, dukkha, anatta, and the Four Noble Truths, the Eightfold, including the Eightfold Path. So I'm not giving any, hopefully I'm strictly avoiding giving any answers, or hopefully nothing that you can cling to here. I just try and encourage what I think of as true mindfulness, which is not self-consciousness, as in I am walking slowly, my feet are touching the heels first, and it goes on. There are so many different techniques, different things to watch. Nothing wrong with them, but we tend to cling and believe that that is the practice. It's a practice of walking slowly. It's a practice of watching how I drink my cup of tea. But we ignore what it's about. If we pay attention, we start to see that when I am present with my walking, with my cleaning the teeth or drinking the tea, there is an opportunity to see how the mind, how the heart mind is in that very moment. And this is where we start to gain insight. We start to see that there is a place prior to our conditioned thinking mind. We start to look at the Buddhist teachings in another light, in fact, with more light. Instead of just seeing them as lists we need to complete, we see them as things that these are outcomes of. If I'm truly mindful, I'm truly aware, I'm truly conscious. Ah, yes, these are outcomes of. It's in those lists, but they're not lists I have to follow, because the problem is samsara is the world we create in our mind, so to speak. Now, we can't fix samsara. We can't fix the problem with the problem. So if we look somewhere else, if we know that place prior to the neurotic, conditioned thinking mind, if we look there, but please don't take this as a place of a vacuum or darkness or no thing. It's awareness. It's open awareness that we can think, we can plan, but we're thinking in the present moment. We're planning in the present moment. We're not attached to becoming something else in the future, or clinging on to what's happened in the past. So there's a freedom within that open awareness where we can see the teachings, we can see what's really meant by the teachings. We can start to see how our reactions to life are quite different. And this is often a way that we don't actually, in a sense, advance in this practice, because it's returning to the norm. But we do start to notice that, oh yeah, that person was perhaps quite nasty. This is just an example. That person was quite nasty to me. But okay, so I don't need to download that. I'm equanimous with that. So there is an ease. You start to see in hindsight how we're changing. So all my encouragement is to notice when our attention goes to any particular part of the body, or the breath, or the sounds, or the sound of silence, or any sensation. Just to notice, how is it? And I can ask you all right now, how is it when you're feeling a sensation in your backside sitting on whatever you're sitting on? Your hands? How is your mind in this very moment? Could you improve on anything? Is there anything to be dissatisfied about? I've never met anybody who can tell me there's anything that needs improvement in this present moment without thinking up a reason that things could be improved. And we're so attached to our neurotic thinking process that we think we need to control the world. We need to think we can control ourselves, other people, and the whole world. And it should be like this, they should be like this, and I should be like this. I should be awakened. I should be enlightened. What does that mean? Perhaps it means just being fully human, just being in this moment, responding to the world, not creating an illusory world. I did mean to start from a question that was left over from last week, but so I'll just say it'd be slightly out of context. It was about doubt. Doubt is one of the Colin, what's it? Doubt. One of the so it's all right. One of the hindrances. Yeah, I just forgot the word. Especially in Theravada Buddhism. And to be honest, I've never quite understood that, because my first 12 years of Zen practice, doubt is one of the requirements. Great faith, great doubt, great courage. So I can't really comment perhaps on this person's question, but I can say that doubt in the Zen style of practice is doubting the mind, doubting our views and opinions, doubting whether I think I've achieved something or not achieving something. It's all encompassing. We doubt this, we doubt that. We doubt just by perhaps even being at this class. We need to improve something. We need to get something, to get somewhere. I know we need to go through it. Don't get me wrong, but we doubt the way it is because, as I said, we're so attached to our neurotic, controlling way of thinking, way of being. So I tend to look at, I definitely look at doubt in those terms. And all I have to do, if I start to doubt, how is it right now? How is it when I am aware? There is no doubt. There are no conclusions. But there just is. There just is the way it is. Or as Ajahn Barry Subhaddo would say, it's like this. This is the way it is. So what I generally do is to, especially on this class and my other classes, because people have been with me for several years now, I don't do such a thorough sweeping meditation. But the encouragement is not to try and concentrate. Say, if I say, be with the breath, do not follow the breath. Just be aware of the breath. So if I say be aware of the top of the head, perhaps you can't be aware of the top of the head. Perhaps I can't find the top of the head. And that's really not relevant. But what is relevant is, how is the mind? How is the heart mind in that very moment? Look right now, feeling a sensation. Perhaps you cannot feel your hands, perhaps without projecting a picture. But you can be aware of that peaceful place of knowing. As I said, it's not stupid, it's not dumb, it's not vacuous. It just is open awareness. So I give give a guided sweeping meditation. And as I say, sweep through the body, not concentrating, but just being with that part of the body, not projecting a picture, just noticing how is it when there is awareness. You needn't concentrate on one part of the body at a time. It can be the whole of the body, including the breathing and the sound of silence. Awareness is awareness. When there is awareness, our mind is not, Mara is not dragging us all over the world with our views and opinions. It just is. Okay, so if you find a position, a posture that's helpful to you, helpful in terms of aiding you with your awareness, so when you start to get a bit, the mind starts to carry us away and the body starts to fall around, or we start to fall asleep or whatever, it's a reminder. It's nothing to get irate about. It's nothing to get upset about. And this is true metta. It's just what the mind does. It's just what this confused mind does. So what? There is only now, so come back to that present moment and notice. Okay, so sitting in that posture that's helpful to you. I sit with my eyes slitted open, looking about a meter and a half in front of me. My hands together in a traditional Buddhist mudra. But really, it depends. If you do a lot of yoga, you might have your hands on your knees. Fine. I'm not saying to change from what you normally do, because awareness can be in standing, walking, sitting, or lying down, and that includes every posture in between those things. So please don't think you need to do special things, because this is about discovering that place and taking it from this meeting into our ordinary life. And that is where the true practice is done, not in special situations. This is laying the foundation so we can start to truly live that and become that. So just noticing the peace and quiet after getting it together to be at this meeting, or if you've had a hectic day, just be. Just be with the sensations, not altering them, not thinking about them, just noticing them. Noticing the whole of the body, from the tips of the toes to the top of the head. Being aware of the breathing, just the natural, gentle breathing, not interfering. or perhaps listening, not to external sounds, but our natural sound, our sound of silence. So becoming aware of the top of the head, not projecting pictures, but just that light awareness. And as I've said, if you cannot be aware of it, that's absolutely fine. But you can be aware of how the mind, how the heart mind is in this present moment. And this is what we are interested in, so to speak. So letting that awareness spread down from the top of the head to the back of the head and the sides of the head. And the ears and the earlobes. What happens to your mind when you are aware of your earlobes? I can't be aware of my earlobes, but I can be aware of how my mind stops, is at peace in open awareness. So now becoming aware of the forehead and the eyebrows and the eyes and the nose and the nostrils. Now becoming aware of the lips and the mouth and the tongue. And the chin and the jaw and the cheeks of the face. Now bringing into your awareness, your consciousness, your bare attention, whatever you want to call it, the whole of your face and the whole of the head. Just being openly aware. When the mind starts to wander, that's what the mind does. Just come back using the body or the breath. No matter how many times the mind goes off, just come back. Don't comment, don't judge. So now becoming aware of the neck, right around the neck and the throat. So now becoming aware of the shoulders. Just noticing any feelings, any tensions, but not interfering in any way. Just the way it is. Getting to know that open, spacious awareness. And now becoming aware of the arms from the shoulders down to the elbows. And from the elbows down, the forearms to the wrists. And from the wrists into the hands, the palms of the hands, the back of the hands, the thumbs, the fingers, the joints of the fingers, the knuckles, the tips of the fingers, and the fingernails. What happens when you point your awareness towards your fingernails? I cannot be aware of my fingernails, but I can be aware of my true refuge of awareness. Now bringing into your awareness, your mindfulness, your hands, your arms, your shoulders, your neck, the face, and the head. Now becoming aware of the back, from the shoulders down the back, and through the shoulder blades, the sides of the trunk, down the spine, the small of the back, the coccyx, the buttocks, and the hips. Not concentrating, not projecting, just being lightly aware. Now bring into your awareness, your mindfulness, the whole of your back, the shoulders, the hands, the arms, the neck, the face, and the head. And notice, how is it when there is pure presence? Now letting that awareness spread down from the shoulders, down the chest, down through the rib cage, the diaphragm, the sides of the trunk, the stomach, the belly, the navel, the intestines, the groin, and the hips. Now again, bringing the whole of the trunk of your body, the front of the body, the back of the body, the shoulders, the hands, the arms, the neck, the head and the face, into that awareness, not going out to the body, just being, knowing from that place of awareness. So letting that awareness spread down from the hips, down into the legs, down to the knees, the sides of the legs, the top, the back of the legs. And from the knees down to the ankles. Just lightly being aware. Do not attach to these parts of the body, because our interest is, how is the heart mind in this present moment? So now becoming aware of the feet, the tops of the feet, the sides of the feet, the heels, the soles of the feet, the balls of the feet, the toes, the joints of the toes, the tips of the toes, and the toenails. Now bringing the whole of your body from the tips of the toes to the top of the head into that mindfulness, into that awareness. And if you cannot be aware of any part of the body, it's fine, because you can know the mind when it is at peace. You're becoming aware of the breath. As I've said, not following the breath, not concentrating on the breath in a particular part of the body, the nose, the throat, the chest, or wherever, but just being lightly aware of the natural breathing. And listening to that natural sound, that sound of silence. I'll ring the bell in a minute or so, but please don't think in terms of the meditation coming to an end. We can be aware in any situation. So somehow we tend to think that I need to do something special, like sitting formally in meditation, which is a great practice. But somehow we tend to believe that we can't do it in our ordinary life. We need to be still to meditate. Why should that be? We can be aware of when we're moving. We can be aware of when we're talking. We can be aware of when we're reading, when we're watching the TV. There is never not a situation that we cannot be aware. And this enables us to have like a perspective on things. We get less attached to them. we see them more clearly. We can function more smoothly. So taking this so-called formal meditation into your ordinary life is the most important thing as far as I can see. Yes, you might, as I have done, to no real avail, sat, meditated for hours and hours, trying to get something, trying to break through something, trying to become enlightened. Sometimes we can have a big shifting experience, but odds are, if we're not completely grounded, we'll attach to that. And I've seen many people who have had big experiences, and some of them have been carted off to hospital because they think they're enlightened, yet they cannot function smoothly in their ordinary everyday life. The Mara can be quite an adversary at times, can really fool us, because we are Mara, we are the illusion, the delusion. We've created this mind-centered world, and we think it's real. We think our projection of it is real. The world is real. It is the way it is. Am I real? Am I what I think I am? Am I this separate self, this special individual self? Or am I part of humanity? Who can know the ultimate truth, but still function very smoothly in the relative truth? Because that's the so-called world we live in. So we need to look somewhere else. Instead of looking to achieve things, to become things, to get rid of things, let's introspect, let's look within. Let's look for that place of no self. And we can pose these questions, especially while we're formally meditating, looking at the Four Noble Truths, looking at, what is suffering? Seeing it from a place of clarity, not from, well, it's because I'm not getting what I want or whatever this or that, but seeing it, seeing that, yeah, of course we suffer because we're trying to hold on to this idea of a self. Of course there's going to be this dissonance because we're trying to hold on to an illusion, a delusion. Is there a self? Can anybody find a self if they truly look? Don't wait for the next 2 or 3 rebirths, whatever they are, to be awakened, but awaken now. Maybe just for a second, but the more we practice, so to speak, the more we are aware, the more we get to trust that place of knowing that cannot be known, the more awakened our life is. As Luang Por Sumedho says, be the Buddha knowing the Dharma. Be the one who knows the Buddha, the Dharma, the way it is. Be the one who knows the way it is. It's not so difficult. If we really look, if we really get to know, if we really get to live from that place of open awareness, which doesn't prevent us from functioning absolutely smoothly in this world. Anyway, that's enough for me at the moment. We'll sit for another period. I'll give the occasional reminder just to come back. And then I really welcome any questions afterwards. So when the mind wanders, just come back to a particular part of the body, or the whole of the body, or the breath, or the sound of silence. Find a place that's most helpful to you in the sense of it anchors the mind. It gives you perspective. So experiment. So just gently coming back if the mind is wandering, because that's what the mind does. It's divisive by nature. So all we need to do is to be aware of when it wanders, and then we are back in the present moment again. So are there any questions, things that people are not quite sure of? What I'm encouraging, I mean, obviously, I don't know if people are new to meditation or the Buddhist practice. I know some have been practicing for a while, so I give a very general encouragement, which I feel covers beginners, because it's, as far as I see, puts you on the right path instead of wanting to become something, but gives you a way of reflecting on the, from a place of no self, on the practice. And also for people who have been practicing a long time. You know, I can only go by my own practice, and I spent many, many years trying to complete these lists, trying to become something, trying to awaken. So please don't hesitate if you have any questions, queries, or experience difficulties you have.
I'm hoping that everybody can unmute now if you'd like to ask a question the usual way, or feel free to send something through in the chat box.
Is there something in the chat box? Perhaps it's from the beginning.
Is there? I haven't got it. The only thing I've got is the message from Wongdu to give us all the email address of the Buddhist Society, but I haven't got anything else here.
I haven't got any questions in my chat box,
Okay.
but they have two persons who have raised their hand, so they can ask questions.
Yeah, please do.
Please do, yes. Do you happen
you were first, you carry on.
Okay, I'll go first, if I may. Ajahn Barry, I've got two questions, if I may. The first question is, when you referred to thinking in the moment when you were giving your introduction talk, and the one thing I struggle with is that when you're focusing on the breath and a thought comes into your mind, do you just notice the thought and don't categorize it and then come back to the breath? Or do you think that's one of the hindrances? It's, I don't know, it's boredom, it's whatever, and you try and learn something from that? Because otherwise, that's the first question. And then the second question is, you spoke about anchoring yourself on the breath. So anchoring yourself on the breath, and through that, you get a sense of awareness. What do you anchor yourself on when you're not sitting in the external world to have that sense of awareness? Thank you.
You see, okay, as an example, when I'm so-called formally meditating, when my mind is very active, it's dragging me all over the place, and it's like surfing the net. You know, you go on to one thing and then something, oh, that looks interesting, so you go on to the next page or the next subject, and it goes on and on and on. And that's how I think most people's minds work. Mine certainly did more. But if I'm coming from that place of clarity, from that spacious awareness, I have an option. I can think, a thought might come up. Now I have the choice now to think that thought through, and then it ceases. I don't go on to the next thought, the next thought, the next thought. I can also have the choice not to think that thought at all, but just to come back to the awareness. That's the big difference. See, there's no problem with thinking itself, But it's when we're carried away in this illusory world that's the problem. Mindfulness is the path to the deathless. Heedlessness is the path to death. And it's calling death this state we normally live in of being carried away. So, and it's not about, when I say anchoring, yeah, it's very tricky. Words are very tricky. I find my favorite practice, so to speak, is just listening to the sound of silence, that internal sound in the silence. Now I say anchoring the mind. Well, yeah, is the anchor. I can't think of a better way to put it. When there is awareness, there just is awareness. I can think, I can respond. So that's what I'm saying as anchoring. It's not strictly accurate, but what else do I say? Does that clarify that a little bit?
Really, really helpful. Thank you. That's very, very helpful.
Great. So it's about learning. We have to experience this stuff for ourselves. I can't give you answers, as like Colin knows. If somebody calls me, Barry's going to teach a class, I do not teach. I encourage people to look for themselves, and because we're so convinced that other people can answer our questions. Even the Buddha can answer our questions. He can't, but he can point and make us look and find out for ourselves.
Thank you.
So hopefully that helps a little bit. Eileen, did you had something?
Yes, I'd just like to ask a general question about anger. Because as an ex-psychiatric nurse, obviously we would encourage people to express anger somehow, because otherwise, it can lead to depression, etc. But I just wanted some sort of suggestion or ideas about what do we do with our anger, if that's not too vague.
No. It's a very good question, actually. I mean, from the point of view who's somebody who's having real problems, it needs psychiatric help. Yeah. I don't know.
No.
But from a reasonably balanced person, I tend to think that people expressing their anger, when they get angry, you see, there used to be back in the 60s and the 70s, you used to see people beating up things, to getting rid of their anger. But for me, that's just it's just justifying their anger. It's just embedding it. It doesn't lead to the cessation of it, to the stopping of it, as far as I can see. So there's two ways, as far as I see. One is it's certainly not about repressing or suppressing, but it's about knowing it. If we're reasonably balanced, we can know that anger. Sometimes we need to be angry, but if we need to be angry, perhaps we're doing it from that place of clarity. Another way from my Zen practice is to contain that anger in the body, around the belly. Know it clearly. This is not about putting it down or getting out of it or copping out. Know it clearly and let that fire burn within the body. Because generally what happens is, for instance, somebody says something to me, you're a stupid idiot, So, then the emotions rise in the body. That energy goes back into the mind. Oh, I hate that person. They shouldn't have said that. It goes on and on. But if that is contained, clicks in the mind, gets contained in the body, that can be allowed to transform into action, into being. Do you know what I'm saying here?
Mm.
And that can be quite transformative, can really add to our awareness, our mindfulness, because there's that energy there which we are aware of. We're not just carried away by it, but it's actually burning away that passion that has arisen. Can't say much more than that, really.
No, thank you. That's very useful.
Does that, having your experience, that makes some sense?
Yes, it does.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'd really recommend to anybody, even somebody. I have a little live class here. I'm in Spain, and a few Spanish people come along, and just one person would say, I just said, be, and it made such a change to her when I saw her next week in the next class. She really had allowed that to burn out. So of course it hurts. It's not nice, but she's not suffering from it the way she was. Yeah. I mean, we're humans. We're going to get upset. We're going to struggle with things. We're going to, and that's important that we do not try and as they say, get behind me, Satan. We actually be it, but don't waste that life force. It is a life force, and it can transform if we don't waste it in thoughts, views, and opinions, and hatred, etc., etc.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
Are there any other questions? Anything in the chat box? I can't see it, but please feel free to speak or chat.
Can I ask you a question, Colin?
You can ask. I'm not going to put you on mute. Go ahead.
Yeah. The question on doubt. I know this class is neither Theravada, Mahayana, Hinayana, Vajrayana, all the rest of them. Now, I wonder if you can give a perspective on the Theravadan way of looking at doubt, because I only know what I said earlier is doubt the thinking mind, the deluded thinking mind.
I can't give you a Theravada perspective. I can give you my perspective.
Yeah. Great.
So the important thing to me, with all these hindrances, is first of all to recognize that they're actually there. It's the same thing with anger. There's anger, right? There's doubt, right? There's desire. There's rest, there's drowsiness, and unless you recognize it, in other words, we're mindful of it, you're trapped in it, or back on automatic pilot. So yeah, there's doubt. Now, there are different sorts of doubt. I mean, it's like, I think we're talking about, if you like, spiritual doubt. Look, we live in very uncertain worlds. If you're going out tomorrow, you don't know whether to take an umbrella or a coat or shorts or wear shorts. But I don't think we're talking about that kind of doubt. I think we're talking about, are we doing this right? Is this the right practice? Is Colin Ash speaking complete nonsense? Is Ajahn Sumedho what he's talking about? I mean, the Buddha? There's that kind of doubt, or the doubt that comes from our own practice. The doubt that I'm not getting anywhere. I think that's what we're talking about, that sort of thing. And the first thing is to recognize it. That's what doubt is like. And like anger or anything else, it has a particular manifestation in the body. It feels like it feels. And there again, that's really good to bring the whatever it is, the doubt, as it were, or more like the intention out of the mind, because that's where it's all buzzing around, into the body. Well, it feels like whatever it does feel like. We all experience doubt physically in different ways. There seem to be various things to do then. I mean, one thing to do, actually, if it's a doubt about dharma practice, you can ask somebody. That's what this class is all about. This is what question time is all about. You got a question, ask a question. It's that sort of thing. Talk to somebody who maybe can help. You know, we were talking about last week we were talking about stress and trauma. Ask somebody about it. Right? That's one thing we can do. But the other thing we can do is like notice doubt again. Go back and make doubt the object of our attention, of our awareness. So it's like doubt. Actually, a magical thing I've discovered is that doubt comes and goes. You know, you sort of have a great doubt, and it's like it's all encompassing. I mean, I'm speaking from experience, folks. We can have a lot of doubt about this practice. Is it there all the time? Is it there all the time? You know, and it's like, in my experience, I'm just speaking personally, sometimes it's not there. It's gone. Okay. Now that's very interesting. When you realize that doubt comes and goes, then you know this practice is for real. This practice is all about realizing, you know, the impermanence of stuff, including doubt. So you might doubt whether the Buddha's got it right, and this, that, and the other. And then you do the practice, and it's like, wow, it's all true. Doubt comes and goes. So there's no doubt. It's as simple as that. So that's my take on it.
Okay. It's the same doubt, the doubt.
Yeah, it's like use it as an object of our meditation rather than something to kind of latch onto and try and figure out necessarily. It's like this, and it's not there all the time. So there can be no doubt. There can be no doubt. It's impermanent, and it's not me either.
Yeah, it slightly brings to mind, and slightly on a tangent, but in my own practice, I used to see Mara. Mara is the deluder. You know, it's our mind, it's our conditioned mind that's always trying to sway us this way or the other, or bring my own views and opinions. I used to try and battle Mara, try and get rid of Mara. But then I realized that actually Mara is my best friend. Because it says to me, every time I start to say doubt, come back. Be with the way it is. Oh, it's this way. It's doubt. Come back. Be with the way it is. So using that, and then I'm actually gaining a friend instead of having to fight an enemy. Because it's reminding me each time, reminding me to practice, to be aware. All I can do, as I see it, in this so-called practice is to remember. Remember to come back to the present moment. But what I'm really keen on is, yes, it's not about the present moment. It's about noticing how it is in the present moment, how what I call my heart mind is. When I say heart mind, I'm talking about the heart of the mind, which is prior to our conditioned, deluded thinking process. Doesn't mean to say it can't think, but it'll be thinking from a place of clarity. Yes. Jude.
Thank you. Yeah, it's very interesting, this about doubt. I was brought up as a Roman Catholic in a very devout Catholic family, and I had extreme doubt as a young teenager, complete and utter doubt, so much so that I didn't believe in it anymore. Ever since I've encountered Buddhism and read some of the teachings and followed some of the practice, I have to say I've never had a moment's doubt, not a single moment's doubt. But I do think that doubt is a very, very important force when it comes to who is giving us the message. I'm doubtful about people I question who passes on meditation practice, for instance. I'm doubtful I was doubtful about you. I was doubtful about Colin, but I don't doubt you anymore, because I've, learned to practice with you. But there are other people, I think, who offer practices who I wouldn't feel I wanted to go along with. So I think some skeptical doubt is a very useful attribute. And I think the Buddha did say somewhere along the line, didn't he, that we should always question, we should always, whether that you can count that as doubt, I don't know. But for me, just to add to the discussion, I've never ever doubted anything about the practice or the teachings, but I always doubt about the structures that can surround any teachings, any beliefs.
Yes, thank you for that. Yeah. Yes. Yes, I think oftentimes people are trying to tell you the answers. And that's something I certainly doubt. If I hear somebody telling me the answers to this question or whatever you want to call it. And there certainly is, I can't think of the name of the little sutta that the Buddha tells you to doubt all teachers, to doubt all teachings, but to look within yourself, to look to your own experience.
I think it's that open-endedness that is so very, very attractive about this practice, that it is actually up to you. The responsibility lies with you to find out. And for maybe that can leave you a bit of swim, but that's the human condition, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, but, and a lot of people, because we're so conditioned, want things to hang on to. They want practices, and that's fine. I mean, it's, it has, especially the Buddhist, well, I can't talk for other ways, but it has two different levels. I can't think of the right way to put it. It's great for society, for somebody to believe in Buddhism, to know all these techniques, to practice all these things, but it's not necessarily going to lead to any awakening within them or insight within them if they're believing that these things will, without looking for themselves within themselves. And instead of believing in the teachings, so to speak, but believe in the results of the teachings, know the results of the teachings, and see how that's in harmony with the teachings. Suddenly they become alive, not just theories and practices and, things to do. But we often have to go through these times of, I've certainly clung to different things for many, many years.
Yeah, can I? I mean,
yeah, please do.
Ajahn Sumedho. I remember Ajahn Sumedho saying something which, particularly if you're coming from like a Christian background, is extraordinary. I mean, he would say something like, so people often ask you what Buddhists believe, and he says what they should really say, they don't believe anything. It's all about knowledge, what you know from your own experience, rather than what you believe because it's in a book or Ajahn Barry or Ajahn Sumedho or whoever says something. And this ties up with it's the Kalama Sutta, that little teaching.
That's the one, yeah.
Where the Buddha was traveling around teaching, but he was one of many other itinerant teachers in North India at that time. And they said, well, we like what you say, but why should we believe you rather than the one who was here the week before last? And he said, don't take it on trust. Just because somebody says it's in a book or you heard about it, or our teachers come along and charismatically, whatever. I'm just putting words in his mouth. He essentially, the message is suck it and see. Try it and see. If it works, if it's wholesome and it works, then you have confidence in it. It's like, it's not blind faith. This is what Ajahn Barry was saying. It's not blind faith. It's, oh yeah, it does work. And then there's that kind of confidence, and we can put a label, faith, on it if we want to. But there's no doubt in it then. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, we're so used to exchanging our belief values from whatever, from Christianity to Buddhism or Hinduism, or, you know, but we're just exchanging belief values. It's just another set of beliefs. But let's look within and find the truth of the way it is.
Are there any other questions or things to discuss? Otherwise, the way it is fantastic.
Yeah. or 9:05 here.
Or 9:05. So look, I think I'm still looking for hands going up and chat thingies in the chat box, but I don't see them.
No.
So thank you very much for leading the class tonight. Thank you everybody for coming, and please, and Ajahn Barry is coming back again, I hope, on the 24th of November. But believe it or not, this class just about managed to stagger along even without Ajahn Barry being here. So you could live dangerously and come back any Thursday and there'll be a class. And we'll be delighted to see you, even if you don't put on your camera. So thanks again. I thank Wongdu for pulling the IT strings.
Absolutely, yeah.
Thanks much, everybody. Take care, and maybe see you next week. Bye-bye.
And as I normally say, please, all you need to do is to remember to be aware, come back to now and notice. Take care, everyone.